Hi everyone, welcome to the Owl's Nest. I'm your announcer, Andrew Perez, and in this episode, we take you to downtown Los Angeles where we interview some people about the effects the coronavirus has had. As we exited the subway, we saw just how empty and lonely the place was. Very few passengers were on the subway with us. And as we went up the escalators, we saw that even in downtown Los Angeles, the coronavirus had shown its impact. Barely anybody outside except for the homeless and a guy riding his motorized vehicle, or bicycle I should say. We continued down the street as we passed the LA Times building and were met with beautiful artwork surrounding beautiful buildings with precise design and modern looks to them. As we continued down the street, we saw the few people who decided that the coronavirus wasn't going to keep them inside. Not even the gloomy weather to match the gloomy feel of the city was going to stop them from continuing their daily lives. As we crossed paths with these few individuals, we made sure to keep our distance and began asking for interviews. Most of them turned us down, but that didn't discourage us, and we kept pushing down the streets of LA until we finally hit a little park where we saw a man with a mask walking his dog. We approached him and he accepted an interview with us.
I took the leave of absence even though that they're still offering services because I just don't feel it's right to do that, especially with kids who have pre-existing conditions.
That was Derek Cole. He's a behavioral therapist who works closely with kids, as he said. Cole told me that in the past week, he had time to stock up on food and drinks to last him for a while. He's prepared to last the long term. Even if he's prepared to ride out the quarantine, Mr. Cole explained that he has had to give up many of his usual routines, one of them being the cycling hobby that he has.
I'm a cyclist as well, and so I haven't been able to commute much. I know that there have been other cyclists who are taking advantage of the no-car situation, but I'd rather just play it safe at the moment.
Cycling for him was a routine he had for keeping healthy, and now he said he's being forced to give it up. But among the hardest changes for him has been giving up seeing his friends.
Even meeting with friends, even just getting together with other folks has just been difficult because nobody wants to meet right now. Everybody's really pretty much at home, just following the protocols. Just because I usually cycle with my group of friends, and we usually go down to Irvine, come back up here, but no, that's not it. Thankfully I have a dog to hang out with at home, and get some exercise at least.
Mr. Cole said that ever since the quarantine started, they have not been able to get together and have some time for themselves. They've been forced to stay in isolation and self-quarantine, each in their own home, alone. After a while, we decided to take a break. Took a time to gather ourselves, figure out what our next moves were for the rest of the day. While we were doing so, a man walking into his apartment building stopped and asked us questions. He saw our equipment, and we told him what we were doing. We had an in-depth conversation about journalism, as he was himself a part of the media. Gave some advice on what we should be doing. He also delved into an encounter he had with a woman that was, to say the least, not so pleasant, as he got spit on and had to throw away his jacket. It seems to me that she didn't get the notice about the coronavirus. We said our goodbyes and continued down the street. Finally, we hit another dog park, placed right in between these apartment buildings, where there was a woman there with her dog. She was a bit more concerned about our presence. She didn't want us getting too close to her, like the other individual who didn't mind us putting the mic up to his face as long as he had his mask on, he didn't have to touch the mic. Whereas with her, we had to stand back a couple feet and conduct the interview.
Well, I'm lucky in that my job, I'm a legal secretary, and they have allowed for us all to work from home, where we never were able to do that before. So they implemented special policies. We've been working from home since a week ago Friday, and I still have a job, so that's good.
That's Elizabeth Vizik. She's a legal secretary at a local law firm here in Los Angeles. Ms. Vizik explains that she has family that is stuck in Europe without the means to get back, but remains confident that her family's health is strong enough to help them get through anything that might happen to them.
My sister is in France right now. She's in Vichy, and she's supposed to be coming back to her home in DC, but right now she's dealing with not being able to find her passport. So, yeah. But luckily she's super healthy and she's doing fine, and there's lots of good food there, and it's a safe place.
What does worry her is the state of how things are being run by the government.
Of course, there's no way to know because we can't get any tests. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, I feel a lot of anger and sadness, because it doesn't have to be this way. It really sucks to have really stupid, selfish people running things.
Regardless of Miss Physic's opinions, she remains hopeful for the future and hopes that things can get better as times go on. She explains how she spends a lot of her time with her old dog, and that is the only thing that seems to keep her going. As we concluded the interview, LA decided that we had overstayed our welcome. We headed down the street, and the rain began to come harder. The wind began to come harder. And all of a sudden, people started to disappear in the streets. I tucked away the recorder in my pocket, and we headed down, trying to find a dry spot. We headed down another street, and another street, and another street. And finally, we found a street where there was a woman standing next to a restaurant. And we decided to snap a photo of her. We exchanged pleasantries and continued on. We had walked a good bunch and decided that we should head back, as the last metro was at 6 o'clock. We started heading back, and I was just trying to take in every single moment of the LA atmosphere. Not many times I get to walk down the streets of LA, just hoping that it would be under better circumstances next time. We headed down those same escalators, those same hollow tunnels, and we're able to make it to the metro right on time. This episode was produced by Andrew Perez and Vicman Thome. This podcast is brought to you by the Citrus College Clarion.